Hiya folks, before we get started I wanted to mention that I'm doing a retreat in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, October 5th and 6th. Information and links will be below. Also, I am speaking in Akron, Ohio on October 12th at the Highland Square Library, and Zero Defects is playing the night before on October 11th at Jilly's in Akron. So all of that's out of the way. Now, I also want to thank you people for the nice comments on the Mitsurugi video. I just kind of put that up because I don't know, I just felt like I should put up a video and that was right there at hand. But I am meeting today with one of the guys who was part of the team that put Mitsurugi together, and maybe we can revive this thing. I don't know, maybe it's worth pursuing. We'll see. But the main point of my video today is Scientific American's blog page has put out an article called Emotionally Extreme Experiences, not just positive or negative experiences, are more meaningful in life. The main focus of the article is that it's not just positive experiences that, make our lives positive. It's negative experiences as well. So what you find meaning in life is not just the things that made you happy, but also the things that made you very, very sad. And this in and of itself is, I think, important for people to understand, because we're always sort of trying to push ourselves into having positive experiences only and avoiding negative ones. And if we start to see that even negative experiences have a kind of net positive effect, if you will, maybe that's not quite the right way to put it, but something like that, then maybe we'll stop just chasing positive experiences all the time, which is great. The problem I have with the article comes near the end of the article, so let me read you some of the stuff from near the end of the article. Over 50 years ago, Abraham Maslow talked about the importance of peak experiences, in quotes, which he described as rare, exciting, oceanic, deeply moving, exhilarating, alleviating experiences that generated an advanced form of perceiving reality and are even mystic and magical in their effects. That's the end of the quote from Maslow. And it goes on, the writer of the article says, while people often talk about the euphoria of peak experiences, Maslow often pointed out how overcoming intense challenges and setbacks can be a key trigger for a peak experience. And then we go on for some other things. And then we wrap it up with this kind of funny paragraph. These findings also have implications for the mindfulness craze and provide a much-needed counterpoint to the current trend of viewing calm and tranquil experiences as most conducive to a life well lived. To be sure, mindfulness, meditation, and cultivating inner calm can be beneficial for reducing anxiety, improving depression, and helping us cope with pain. Though that little bit is all in a link, so I'm not gonna follow it, but you can follow it, and there's a link to another article. However, the article says, the intensity of peak experiences may be more likely to define who we are. At the end of our lives, will we look back and remember most poignantly all of the calm and tranquil meditation sessions we had, or will we remember the moments that plumbed the depths of our emotional life that made us feel most alive? Well, that depends. I think if at the end of your life you're driving off a cliff, you're probably going to be reflecting on, "Wah!" But, that's neither here nor there. But the point is, you don't know what you're going to be reflecting on at the end of your life. I think that's one of these things that people put into arguments sometimes that make no sense at all to me. You don't know what it's going to be. But this is interesting in a number of ways. And I'm not really sure exactly where to begin, so I'm just going to begin where it feels like beginnable. Now, I'm a guy who has dedicated himself to meditation for 30-odd years, so I've got a lot of peaceful, tranquil meditation experiences behind me. And I will admit that I don't necessarily sit in my rocking chair, now being an old man and everything, rocking back and forth going, I remember that session that I did 20 years ago and it was calm as heck. It was really good. Because that's not really the point of it, And so I have a few scattered memories here and there of meditation experiences, but they're mostly the unusual ones. The normal ones, they're not that memorable. On the other hand, I have talked long and hard on this YouTube channel and in other places about certain peak experiences, the so-called bridge experience, which I never called it that, but people keep throwing that back to me. It's written about in Hardcore Zen and in Zen Wrapped in Karma. No, not that one. There is no God, and He is always with you. Those two books, I recounted an experience that I had, and I've recounted it on this page and whatever. And this was more of a peak experience. This was an experience that stood out, because it wasn't like other experiences, and it wasn't necessarily exciting. It was very calm and tranquil in its own way, but it wasn't exciting, but it was memorable in a way, and I've talked about that. So you can see that there is sort of a conflict going on here, because what I think is important in life is meditation and these sort of calm experiences, tranquil experiences. And yet, when I recount meditation, I recount it in terms of, sometimes I recount it anyway, in terms of the peak experiences that resulted from it. That's because I'm not a very good Zen guy, and I'll freely admit that. I do something that most of us in this business, this Zen teacher business, don't do, which is I talk about those experiences. And I started doing it because I thought it was important to find a way to talk about those experiences that did not make them into peak experiences and defining experiences, even though in a sense they are. Now, the other issue I have with this is the intensity of peak experiences may be more likely than calm meditative experiences in this case to define who we are. That's the crux of it. And it's probably the reason that I shouldn't have been doing so much talking about the so-called bridge experiences and all that stuff. Because it is a way of defining who we are. And we define who we are generally by limiting who we are. I like this, but I don't like that. I am this kind of person, and I'm not that kind of person. So limiting it is the problem that we're trying to work on with Zen. When you're doing a Zen meditation, when you're doing this practice, by opening yourself up to everything that is going on at this moment, you gradually cease to limit yourself, and defining who you are becomes less and less important. And in normal society, defining who you are is of the utmost importance. This is why we get all these crazy things going on with identity politics and all the rest. It involves defining who we are very, very rigidly and sticking to it. The Zen experience is not about that. So what this person is talking about is kind of a fantasy of what mindfulness is, or maybe it's really what mindfulness is, because I don't know too much about mindfulness. But the Zen experience is, well, mindfulness is part of what we are doing in Zen. It is not the whole of it. And this calm and tranquil moment that we have allows us to see clearly who we are in a much broader sense than remembering a bunch of peak experiences and adding them up into a persona that we can present to the world. So that's what I think of this Scientific American blog piece, and maybe if you think otherwise, you can leave a comment below or whatever. But thanks a lot. Remember that I'm supported by your Patreon and PayPal donations. The links are below, as are the links to the Toronto retreat and the appearance in Akron and so forth. So thank you all for listening, and see you later. Bye.